Hello, Zoe. I can't wait to have this conversation. Welcome to this chat that we're going to have.
Hey, Alexia, it's good to be here.
I know. So we're going to talk. Well, I don't know where we're going to. The reason I got in touch with you is because I really want to have a conversation about the masculine and the feminine and the energies and balancing all of that. But I suspect we might wander off course somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. But before we kick off, would you mind just sort of introducing yourself and just telling us a little bit about what you're about and how come I came to you to ask you about the masculine and the feminine? Like, why would I have done that based on what you're putting out there?
Okay, I'll go with the last question first. So I guess I'm an embodiment of the masculine and feminine in terms of still being able to maintain that femininity, we're still being able to be bold, direct, but a level of softness and not losing our natural sensuality that I feel for so many women, because of the environment, they've had to tone it down because of not really understanding how to work with that energy. Because there's a lot of manipulation that can happen there, male and female. So I guess, how did I get here? Who am I? Who the hell am I to even sit here, even talk about this? Yeah. I guess I was a woman that was rejected by society. Really supported by the masculine. The women throw stones at me because even though I was, taintively years ago, sort of finding my way through this shitstorm called life, the men recognized what I was stepping into and they were like, wow, yes, we need this refreshing. But yeah, the women were feeling threatened by it. So I sort of knew I was on the right path there. And then through direct learning and lessons, I learned to soften through that because I realized I was still very much strong in my masculine, from that protection from my journey and really the sensuality being misunderstood and it being you're either people poaching on you and you open up and then you start expressing yourself, and it's this, we're all learning, men or women, no matter who's tuning in, really how to understand this energy within ourselves. So I feel blessed to have had many experiences to get here. My journey of training has been mostly through life, learning how to do things the wrong way, not even the wrong way, having detours to have experiences, right, of contrast, of knowing if I push too much or if, to really understand the energy and learn how to dance with it without going into I'm this or my labels or, I've worked with people with this work over probably 7 years now. And, and I'm still refining in myself. It's never like getting to a place and go, yes, I've got it now. We're constantly being tested to refine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
it
does.
A label or a title, because I think we do get stuck in too much labels and titles, and it's not actually the essence of what we're wanting to bring through.
Yeah. Now, the reason I first discovered you was because I've been really trying to dig a little bit deeper into the masculine and feminine and better understanding these energies that we have within us. And I've also become aware that maybe some people in my audience, and I've come to this awareness through seeing posts on Facebook, putting out things on Facebook, reading other people's comments, where there doesn't seem to be an understanding about what these energies are. Like, when I've seen somebody say that when talking about the masculine and the feminine energies and really not knowing what that is and say, well, I don't see that. I don't have that. It just seemed like a concept that was completely unknown and beyond their awareness and understanding and knowledge. So if there's anybody like that listening, could you just talk a little bit more about, masculine and feminine 101, just so that we can all start in the same place. We've got a good understanding going forward.
So I will explain from a yogic perspective, as that was my initial training and I guess the pathway into really hearing about masculine and feminine. So no matter if you're male or female, whatever your orientation is, let's just bring that in there as well. Your body is separated in half with two aspects, two poles. You've got a masculine and the feminine. So on the right, you've got the masculine and then you've got the feminine. And I'm not even, I could go into what the names are, but it's really irrelevant. It doesn't matter. If you think of in terms of the feminine is like So they both have different characteristics. If we think about the characteristics, so throughout your day, your body will naturally shift. No matter what your biology is, your body will naturally shift through different characteristics. Every 2 hours, it will flip between the masculine and the feminine, right? So it's your connection, because we're in this vessel, right? We're having this spiritual experience in a human form, in this meat body vessel. And within us, we have these energy channels that are constantly flowing up and down with no conscious awareness. And these energy channels will have a different characteristics. So the feminine will be, if you think of a magnet, it'll be very magnetic. The masculine will be electrical charges. This is keeping it really, really simple. So you're this electromagnetic being walking around, having this human experience, and there will be different things, the characteristics of the energy. So for example, the feminine energy is more about the surrender, dropping into the stillness, the silence, that deep potent. Now, when we drop into that, then the creativity comes through. That's very much the feminine essence, where the creativity, you're not looking for outside, it's from those connect. And that's where we really played when we were kids. We really played in that place of creativity, imagination. It's also the right-hand side of the brain. So our energies do this. They cross over, right, all the way through our body, through these energy channels. The masculine is, so if you think of like feminine is like consciousness, the masculine is then bringing it into action, into being, into a manifestation, actualization of the ocean of the feminine, right? So the masculine is like purposeful, drive, targets, go, go, go. What we have playing out, we have a lot of people that feel that for them to be successful, especially when it comes to women, I have to be strong, I have to be purposeful, I have to be, and there is a dance. There is this, we have a society that is like go, 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 rush, 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 achieve, 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 and they're missing the potency that is like the fuel that fans the flames to take the momentum into something, form of action, into an actualization of something becoming. That makes sense. I'm trying to keep it really simple. So there's this temptation in society. It's like, no, I'm too busy. And this, you would find this with the mind trash. I find this when I teach people guidance through meditation. You know, you're often here, I don't have time. I'm really busy. And it's like, if I could tell you that by booking in some time, i.e. to be still, to have a practice, to create some space, some stillness, non-doing, but there's actually a lot going on, then you will start to have more clarity, more focus, and you won't be in this rushing, and life will start becoming a little bit easier. Make sense?
Totally. And I've been really playing. Yeah. And I've been playing a lot with this lately. I used to be one of those go, 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 go. And people would have called me like an alpha female. And I used to coach male business leaders that were alpha men. So because I could match them with their energy. And, you know, I had senior positions in business that required that go, go, go and suits and all of that. So I kind of felt that I was really in my masculine for a long time and denying my feminine, which kind of I was forced to when I was pregnant and got thrown into the birth and pregnancy world that I ended up working in for 7 years. And that's the ultimate of the feminine, the creator. And I really discovered the power. When I say power, I don't mean power in the male sense, but the divine power, the power of the feminine through that work. And not just through the feminine birthing the baby, but all the amazing women that hold space for women, like the doulas and the midwives. And so, but anyway, I detract. So more recently, I've decided to create that space that you just talked about and just sit and, well, it looks on the outside like I'm doing nothing, like I'm literally just sitting about on my butt. But it's amazing how that space just allows things to drop in. And so when I do sit at my desk to do stuff, I don't sit there for very long now, but when I am, I'm getting all the stuff done because I'm clear and I can really push forward. But I wouldn't have had that clarity without doing nothing for a few hours earlier in the day. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, 100%. There's you talk about, even with the birthing experience, that's why I think it's such a beautiful initiation of really remembering what has been forgotten and surrender, the art of surrender, the art of allowing. The same with orgasm as well. It's that point of getting out the way, the human robot getting out the way of total surrender is actually a powerful place to be.
Gosh, yeah.
It's one of the most powerful places. The one that's in surrender actually is the one that actually directs where it's going.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's an incredible thing.
Right. So when you're saying about when you come to your desk and then you're in that moment of purposeful, right? So that's the masculine. That's why I was like, for me, like my baseline practice is like I have for the last, 11 years now, my non-negotiable meeting was my meeting with myself, even with my kids coming in the door at 2.5. It was like, I had to find that space, even though inside my head was crazy, right? I didn't have that space. I needed to book that time in for me as that non-negotiable meeting. And even I would communicate with my children at 2.5 and 3.5, go, do not disturb me unless you're bleeding to death or choking to death. Now, for most people, they'll be like, oh my God, that's so bad. And I'm like, They are like 14 and 15 now. They're self-reliant, they're confident, they're not looking for me to entertain them. They find ways to that's like me saying, I need to do this for me because then I'm a better parent. So if you are struggling with your creativity or finding those moments where you can be purposeful in sections and not all day just going, oh, this is such a drag. Step back, book some time in for you and start working more with things like relaxation, meditation, even just sitting there unplugging and reading a book, not doing anything. And in that moment, you will create a space where then when you come and do those things, you'll be like, okay, then you want to get stuff done.
Yeah, it's a whole different energy about when you are doing the stuff. It's got a different energy to it as well, because you've got this, there's a real surety behind it, or a kind of a knowledge, not knowledge, but it's kind of almost conviction that you are heading in the right direction and you can actually put your foot to the floor. Whereas when you don't have that conviction behind you, you're tentative, you're kind of like a little bit on the accelerator, not sure, you brake a bit, you're kind of driving around. It's that kind of hesitancy. Whereas when you just go vroom and you get more done in less time. I found that anyway.
Because you're actually doing it. It's that mentality of, oh gosh, I need to be doing something. And I think it's a British thing as well. I think it must be everywhere, but it's like, if you're not doing something, then you're dawdling, you're being lazy, so we had this culture of thinking of, if someone says, are you busy? It's like, yeah, actually I'm busy doing nothing, because I'm, in that moment I'm doing everything. People are like, you say that to people and they're like, no. Or you'll be reading a book, right? And they're like, are you busy? And you're like, I'm reading a book. It's like, well, you're not busy. I'm reading a book. Yeah. And we have this culture that is afraid to even say, hang on a minute, I'm doing me.
I matter.
I matter, because unless you can say, even to your kids when they're young, unless you can start putting yourself number one and saying that I matter, and this little space of time is for me, I'm going to be selfish, this is my self-love, or I get to love up on myself and I get to do whatever induces your core, then you have more to give people. Then you can actually really step into what your purpose is. You're not doing it as an expectation because it's expected from someone else. So if they can incorporate this into business, whole businesses shift.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, for those that aren't really sure, I would imagine most people listening are probably out of balance with their masculine and their feminine.
Most people are.
Yeah, I would imagine that will be the case. So I think it might be useful maybe to talk through what some of the signs are, just to kind of help people to really land that with them. Like, what could be some of those kind of telltale signs that you're out of balance?
Having butting heads in your relationship. So a lot of men are feeling very emasculated. A lot of men have not even stepping up and saying no. They're wanting to make it better. They want to, you know, be the harmonizer, and they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. And there's like a miscommunication between men and women. So, you know, if things are not happening in the bedroom, that can be an indication. You know, that can be a big indication. And but you know, there's or the attraction, you've lost attraction to your partner because you've actually turned both into like resonating the same frequencies. You're actually repelling each other sexually. So it's not that you've fallen, I don't see that fallen out of love. You've basically, your charge within has become so like friends, and not, there is no charge, there's no friction between you to actually get that pull of the magnets of the masculine and feminine. If you're, say for example, as well, like a lot of women not feeling, you know, so it's not about making anyone wrong, but sometimes the greatest lessons can be when you're hitting a wall, you know, and you really start getting clear and going, I'm not feeling heard, I'm not feeling seen, I'm not really feeling valued. I'm getting really, really clear with that. And then asking deeper in, where is this actually coming from? Because I guarantee it's going to be coming from, it usually comes from something really young, and it's learning how part of the work that I would guide and still guide people through, it's for women, it's their inner masculine that has been forgotten within. For men, it's their inner feminine that has been forgotten within. So we always have to come back to ourselves and be willing to go in and do the inner healing, to go back and claim those aspects that have been forgotten or pushed to one side as not as important, right? Because there's this real, I understand with women as well, having experienced the whole sexual trauma and all of that of feeling over-sexualized, because there is so much stuff that's over-sexualized, and it's this, and we are learning, men are learning, women are learning, but there's this like innocence when we start really opening that there are, you know, we're going through a big transition period. So in that transition, we need to have a little bit of forgiveness and leniency, because everyone's trying to figure it out. And when a woman starts opening up into full sensual expression, men fall over and they're having to learn as well. How do I respond to this creature that's wild and full expression and without being, you know, seedy? Or so we're all learning, men and women are learning together. And I think the more we can be honest with, this is where I'm at right now, this is what I'm exploring, this is how I'm feeling, and take that full ownership and stop placing blame on men or women, then we will really start to shift as a collective.
And then you mentioned earlier about how women are denying their inner masculine, but I would have thought that sounded, I was like, that sounds strange.
No, it's projected on the outside, because it's like they have to like have this armor of
yeah.
Really, because there's that so their inner masculine, when I talk about that, it's like, would have been an aspect, say like when they're 5 or 6, of the inner child, and that where you're, you know, you're in that, I know what I want, I know where I'm going, and then a parent, beautiful, loving parent says no to you, and you're like, no. And they're like, no, you can't be like, don't do that. You can't, good girls don't do that, or whatever it is, or, you know, close your legs. That's not ladylike. And they're just bold, sitting there like that, feeling very comfortable, right? So it's that inner protector. Make sense? So because that is out of alignment, it's not really there, it hasn't been, it's still left there somewhere abandoned, then there's this feeling inside that you feel that you have to push your way through, or you have to force your way through so you can be seen. And you know, it's not just that. We've had a society that Like, I believe equality is an inside job. I feel even inequality is an inside belief. And we have to address the inside for then others on the outside to see us and perceive us in a different way.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when we're not really honoring those parts of ourselves or allowing, because I have a belief that we innately have this masculine and feminine within us, but we can't access that because it's blocked in some way. And I would say that we've blocked it with head trash. And that comes from our wounds, from our triggers, from our conflicts. There's all this stuff that's cluttering that channel that is preventing us from fully accessing it. And so it's really about exploring, and you work with all this stuff, so tell me if I'm wrong or right, but whether it's really about exploring the wounds that cause us to block that in the first place. And when you mentioned sexual trauma, I think a lot of women have learned that being feminine, exhibiting their feminineness, living like that is actually dangerous and threatening to their lives. And so they've cut that bit off and brought out the masculine because it helps them to feel safer because of the world they've grown up in. And is that, am I on the right track here?
Yeah, I feel that's an aspect as well. I do see it a little bit different in regards to the sexual trauma. Yeah, like the stuff gets stuck in their mind, it gets stuck in the subconscious. It also hides out in the body. That's why the body work that I do is so vital, because it hides out in the tissues. You know, we can rewire things as much as here, but if it's programmed within the tissues, then it will still be a pattern. It will still be a trigger. It will still be a response that I don't fully understand. And I do feel there gets a point where we need to stop going into the story. The way that I see everything like trauma that we've experienced or that has come into our like our playing field of experience, of this human experience. I feel it's there as an opportunity to evolve consciousness. Consciousness is constantly constantly understanding itself. I will speak personally that when I look at that, what was my inner frequency when that happened? I felt unworthy, I felt helpless, I felt hopeless, I felt like a piece of shit. So then what did I attract, right, into my experience as a divine, like, magnetic attraction to have this experience that I had? And I feel we've got to the point where each individual has a choice. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to shift? Are you going to adapt? Are you going to rise beyond it? Or are you going to keep carrying that along with you? Because right now, when you bring the feminine and the masculine, what's happening? We're actually in a time of feminine consciousness, meaning everything that you've experienced is going to feel magnified, intensified right now, because the magnetic frequency, well, the electrical frequency that's coming down from the cosmos down into the earth and then coming up from the earth. So we've got this happening right now. This is why it's intense. For anyone tuning in, that's why it's intense right now. We're going through this mass purification process right now. So every experience that you've had, when you can flip the switch and go, this was part of my, i.e. you chose it before coming into this human experience, so you could transmute it, transform it, and transcend it, so you could activate what it is within you. So when we look at things returning to innocence and that sensuality, that is our life force. So when I talk about the masculine and the feminine, it's a constant flow of energy. That is your life force. Life force is sensual. It's very magnetic. It's sensual in nature, right? That's why so many people, when they see a child playing, and they're like, right, and it's like so, and it's like just joy. It's this life. It's this vibrancy. So even though if you've had an experience, it is a process of going through part of that of your healing journey. And that may be going through some womb healing, some body work, whatever you feel drawn to or aligned to is the path that you need to start going along. But it's not about pushing it away and ignoring it. The time is now to start going, hang on a minute. there's something going on. I feel numb, I feel disconnected, I feel disassociated in this part of my body. What can I start exploring so I can remember who I am as a full sensual being? Because no matter what you've experienced, we can all shift, and it is there to assist us in upgrading our DNA. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. So could we talk a little bit? Yes, it does make sense. And I would like to understand from your perspective, when someone is in there, what does feminine energy really look like? Because when you mentioned earlier about the emasculation of men, and part of me was thinking, are women responsible in some part of that? When you see a lot of the mothers that are sorting out the shopping, they're getting this done, they're keeping the whole household going. The guy's kind of working. Maybe she's got to stay at home with the kids because her salary wouldn't cover it if she went back to work, and childcare and blah, 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 which is where we're at. So, but she's kind of doing all this stuff. And if the family are out shopping, and she's the one that's looked at where all the restaurants are, she's the one that's figured out where the car park is. Like, she's doing these kind of like go direction, like, kind of male energy things, and the guy is kind of like, and then she's like, well, he's useless, he wouldn't be able to like do all this, I've got to do it, because if I don't do it, like, no one's going to do it, and then we're all going to be like starving on a street corner in whatever, so she takes control and does that, and so should she not do that and just maybe allow the shit hit the fan occasionally to allow him the space for him to take control again? Or I'm just wondering whether how much this we're kind of creating with our own behaviors.
Yep, she doesn't, I'll say it, and many women may not want to hear this. She doesn't want to give up control.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to give up control, because when you give up control, then you have to be vulnerable.
And surrender.
And surrender. So it's this, and you hear it all the time. It's like, I do everything. My ex-husband was like that, actually. So I was probably more of the male in the relationship. Like he, so in the end, I just went, okay, do it all. I don't care. Do it all. And this is what happens in relationships. Often men will do something, or someone in the relationship will do something. It doesn't make it about men or women. And it's like, and then the other person will come along and redo it because it wasn't perfect. And it's like, let the small shit go. The fact that it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, let them do it. But this is why a lot of men just go, I'm just going to stay at work longer because it's not going to be a headache. I'm not going to come home. I'm going to come in the door. You haven't done this. You haven't done this. It's like, we need to stop nagging one another. We need to stop going into the, I did everything. You need to let go of it. Let a little chaos happen. Yes, if you are doing everything, you feel like you do, let the house go a little bit messy. Let it go a little bit. Leave the dirty things in the sink. Let some contrast. It's beautiful training ground for children. I did it with my kids. What's this? I just let everything go. What's fit in it? I'm like, I don't know. You have a look. Let's create it together. I'm not doing it all I'm not doing it all myself. So it's letting go of control. Yeah. If you're not willing to let go of control, well, you're going to create the worst nightmare where you're constantly feeling that you're not being met, you're not feeling appreciated, because you want to do everything.
Yeah. And a lot of people, that is a fundamental fear that a lot of people have, especially women. And when I work with women around their fears of pregnancy and birth, losing control is at the top. Every single woman who's got a fear around birth and pregnancy is around the fact that she is worried about losing control. And guess what? You're going to have to lose control during that event, because there's the nature, the body knows exactly what to do. You have no idea with your conscious mind what to do, but your body does. So you have to relinquish control and surrender to the body. And that is the most terrifying thing for many, many people. And I think that women are blessed by their birth experience because it forces them to face that within themselves, whereas guys can kind of sail on by because they don't have to face it. But I think guys worry about that. They hate that too. It's a human fear.
Included in it. They want to be included in it. And, it's birthing was the most powerful experience ever.
Yeah.
I would like, I don't know about you, but I would do the whole birth.
Oh yeah, I do it again.
I don't want to do the after bit, like the
no, not the raising of the kids.
No, I don't want to do that. But I could do the whole like birthing, because it's very primal, and men actually want to be involved with that, and they are in like awe. They're in awe when they watch a woman that is being in her, like, don't talk to me, like primal essence of whatever she needs to go through to do that. And they feel such honor to actually be a part of that.
Yeah
They're like, just like, whoa, like that's
and then they need, but see what they, I think the role of men within that environment is to create that kind of, that outer container, the strength, the boundary.
That's the masculine holding.
Yes, to hold, so that the woman can just fully let go within that space, knowing she's safe.
Yes, in silence, never telling her, you need to do this. Shut that up. Don't tell her. Hold space in silence, right? Yeah.
And I suppose that's the masculine and the feminine, isn't it? That's exactly what it is.
And we have that in all of us. So when there's that potency of being able to be in a space and be there in silence with your essence and radiate balanced masculine and feminine essence of presence without having to always push what you want to say or to be right, to simply be in your presence.
But isn't that also quite terrifying for some people, to be on their own with themselves?
Well, that's part of the initiation. You have to. If you haven't even gone in, and and I'm seeing this now. I'm seeing this wave of people suddenly opening up space to run big events and holding space, but they've not actually gone into the wilderness themselves. And I'm like, really? That's going to be interesting. You're going to open up a container and you're going to guide people into really open and get messy and go into chaos, but yet you've never really gone in there yourself, again and again, not just once, but many, many times. That then it's not about controlling, it's about being able to guide and hold the energy so the individual can actually go through the shifts themselves, and they get to go through the shifts. They get that empowerment of it then.
So do you think, you mentioned earlier that there are these energies, there's this kind of, people are really feeling it a lot right now, so just talk to me a little bit about this so that you can hear your perspective on that.
Well, the whole frequency has been increasing since February 2019. It's been increasing. So when we talk about the hertz, the different frequency, the energy of the earth, it's been consistently increasing. Then we've got, so I remember, like, around that time, I would get messages in 2019, and my regular meditation practice would turn into, all I'd hear was lie down. And I'd be like, okay. So I'd lie down and I'd just be like fast asleep for like 40 minutes. And then I'd come around and then my eyes were like rolling in my head. And I was walking around for like 2 hours looking half stoned, not being able to see. So my DNA was going through recalibration, and many of us, this was happening then. Now it's happening to many more people. It's just the frequency is increasing to intensify. So you've got the positive ions. This is why you may wake up in the morning and you feel fuzzy-headed. You may have had some wine, or maybe not. Maybe you've had nothing, but you wake up feeling foggy in the morning, foggy-headed, headache. That's the positive ions coming down, whether you're aware of it or not, down from the cosmos, down through here while you're sleeping. And then it goes down into the center of the earth, and then it comes back up from the center of the earth, increased in even more frequency, up through your feet and through your body, right? So we've got these, just think meat body suits in this like container that's going, there's no way out but in, right? So it's not like, oh my God, how can I fix this? How can I work this? If you're tired, have a little mini sleep, find some way to have a sleep, because while you go through that, your DNA is upgrading and your DNA is able to hold more light, more higher vibration frequency, because we're evolving, we're going through upgrades in consciousness.
And is that calling people? I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask you: do you think that's calling people to really start looking inward to heal some of the stuff? Is it bringing up shit for them?
Else to look? Well, here's the thing, because even before 2011, 2012, there was other waves that were happening, and there was massive surge. But 2012, there was another big surge of like consciousness. So if you can imagine, you've got individuals that are going through, they're doing the work behind closed doors, the mind, the body, all of that. And then we're going out into the community. Every person you walk past will be influenced, impacted by that. Then you've got more people doing that. It's a natural progression that's going to happen. The more and more people you've got that are doing the work, seeing what's happening, becoming more aware, aware of that actually they play a role in everything that's happening in their life, then it just like snowballs, like it's like diffusion. More and more people. So we've got more and more people awakening, a massive, massive awakening. And especially with all of the
stuff going on,
the nonsense stuff that happened, that was another catalyst. That was a good way of going, the world needs to stop now. And now you're going to be contained. Now there's only place for you to do is do some work on you, right? So it's all like divinely aligned to assist consciousness with upgrading. And it's happening even quicker. Even this conversation that we're having right now is playing a role. People will hear it, and some people may go, oh, this is a little bit confusing, I don't know. I'm not sure about that, right? But they're like, oh, there was something in that, and then that starts something, and then they'll hear it again. They're like, oh, okay. And that's how it happens. So that, we're on track. I do feel we're on track. Yeah. And it's accelerating really, really fast, super fast, which is why we do need to rest. We need to surrender into more of the feminine, of trusting and allowing.
Okay, so talk a little bit more about what that feminine looks like. So I also, one thing we're hearing a lot around as well is it's the age of Aquarius, the end of the age of Pisces, which is shifting from a time of masculine energy and the patriarchy over to the matriarchy.
That started about 4 years ago from what I don't know, I remember writing something on it about 4 years ago.
Okay, so talk a little bit more about what this feminine emergence looks like. I
know, it's playful, it's light, we're coming more into childlike, right? Coming in late, even when we got on here and we started chatting. It was like, hey, right? It's that. It's just this lightness, and this lightness is the word that keeps coming through for me, and this deeper acceptance of one another, and this deeper understanding of one another. And we're really coming into this time of compassion, of not I don't, does it really look, it can look any sort of way. And even if you say it looks like this way, then people get stuck into a box. Oh my God, it looks like this, or it doesn't look like that. Oh, that's wrong. Then it's like, no, we're constantly going between the two. So I guess no matter what rather than focusing on what it looks like, a simple thing you can do is like get your shoes off and stand on the earth. Get grounded, get centered. Remember you're standing on the ground, and it's like, okay, I'm standing on the ground. My feet are connected. I feel safe. And even just repeating that to yourself, even when the world may be going tits up, or everything around you just feels really funky and crazy, because things are going to get a little bit more funky and crazy. Just put your hands and your feet on the earth, and it's that remembrance of what we did naturally as kids. We would naturally be in nature. We would naturally gravitate, go in the water, and, we'd be in a sand pit, and we'd be playing next to each other without judgment, without opinion. We'd simply be playing. And the more and more we can connect to that, the more and more it's the easier it's going to be for people through the transition. And it will be uncomfortable for people, because I need to remember that for many of us, it's been like over 20, 30 years of like going through, you know, and like for others, it's like, it's intense. It's like,
yeah,
they don't have that time frame.
Yeah,
so,
to adjust, because big adjustments happen very quickly.
Yeah. So it's being really aware of those around you and being that container for them. It may not necessarily mean actually saying anything, just simply being there in presence with them and just being like, hey, it's all good. It's all good. We're just going to chill. And kids as well, they don't need it. Their DNA is totally shifted. It's totally different anyway. They're 14 and 15-year-olds. They know the stuff that I experience, but it's irrelevant for them. It's not something that is in their timeline for them to experience, because it's not part of what they need to shift in consciousness. So I feel like
I feel like I've had to decondition myself and unlearn lots of things.
Yes.
I feel my kids don't need that. They're kind of they've got the right program running, whereas I've had to like reinstall a whole new program, which has meant clearing it of the old, and that's stripping back, you know. And I think I spent all those years in corporate studying marketing. I taught marketing at Oxford, and I'm now undoing my marketing and trying not to do marketing in what I do, because I want to be led by the feminine, by the intuition. And that kind of what I feel like is like an internal battle inside of me is stop doing all that. I suppose it's that masculine planning to the nth degree, go, all that stuff, and just step back.
You need both. You need both,
but I was all in one and not in the other. And it's this balance you talk about, you know, we shift throughout these energies throughout the day, and it kind of, you mentioned it every 2 hours. Is that kind of a strict thing? I don't know.
No, here's the thing. That's just like some ancient stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people don't need to understand about that, because like even playing with the energies and then playing with the energies, I will say this, error of caution, you can create as much damage as you can create great stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. So it's like giving you a snapshot. Otherwise, it's like giving you keys to something that you're not even going to know how to control. That's why you need to be guided how to actually work with it, how to do it safely. And that's why unconsciousness is there. That's why the veil is there. Because if the veil wasn't there, this not being able to see, then you'd be waking up too fast and you would go. That's why psychosis happens, and you would self-sabotage. So you wouldn't be able, so it's, everyone is waking up in the time frame that's allowed to them. And some people may not wake up, and that is okay as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the blocks, rather than going, okay, am I in my feminine now? I need to do 2 hours. I'm going to do that again. That's going into control. That's going into the masculine. That's going into like, no, just be like, how am I feeling right now? Without it being masculine, how am I feeling right now? Cool. What can I put to one side? How is my body feeling now? Maybe I need to have some time to unplug, to do me.
Do you have, sit and have moments where maybe you have your masculine, your inner masculine, having a conversation with your inner feminine to try and solve something? Because I've heard some people do that to help them kind of move through things. That's not a thing for you.
No, they feel integrated inside. What I've found that I've had to really get my head around is because all of my masculine is in my sacral, which obviously can be really misunderstood. So all of my sacral areas, channels are lit up 24/7. So for me, that intuitive, or that, you know, that feeling, or people would feel that magnetic energy coming off my sacral, which is like creative, sexual, all of that. There'd be a lot of misunderstandings that people would understand where my energy is from, but that was my masculine. The rest of it is feminine. Right. So I've had to, like you said, relearn. I had to go down the path of the opposite of where I was most programmed. I was most programmed in my masculine. And it's my natural orientation to have that really strong masculine and that fiery warrior, that side. So, and the more and more I, do practices or implement things which nourish the feminine and support that energy, meditation is like a key for me. Like it's a key. Like, doesn't matter. It's not about going into here. It's about going into doing what I need to do with my practice, dropping into that state, and then the rest shifting out.
So for you, so in order to nurture the feminine for you, say, having a space to enable
I need so I need structure and I need consistency. Otherwise, I can just go into creative lala, like poetry, I need structure for me to stay. Otherwise, so for example, like I can be in so the creative flow and the action are working in one, right? So I was sitting there the other day and I was like, I want to get this done. So I was like, whoa, where, like 10 hours went by. I was like, where did that go? Because I was in that zone.
Yeah. And so for people that want to bring out their inner masculine, let's say they're not really doing a lot of the masculine stuff, what
go out
could help them go out?
Go out, start chopping wood, start doing some active stuff with your body, get into the gym, shift and move your body. That doing action, even chopping wood is a great thing. That's what I used to say, men, go out and chop some wood. Actually go out in nature. Same with women, go and chop some wood, throw some axes, I don't know, go and do something. My kids taught me how to throw knives. They taught me how to throw knives. That was pretty cool. But go out and do some form of something that's active, like actually move your body, focused. And men really need that as well, that rough and tumble, that wrestling with one another. They need that bonding with men. That's why, I don't know if you've got girls or boys.
I've got two girls that are actually boys.
Yeah, so
I kind of like lost the whole. I let them. Well, one's got really short hair. Everyone thinks she's a boy.
Yeah.
They're always wrestling and tumbling. They hate dressing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we need it. We all need it, no matter what our biology is. And I think naturally go to things that feel good. But if you also know that your tendency is not to do things, and you sort of like are always being submissive and not saying what you really want to say, well, then implement something to increase that charge to assist you with rebalancing. You will always, a lot of people, they're never 50-50. They're going to be more dominant in one. And it's really about learning what it is for you and just exploring in life. Maybe you just go out dancing and or maybe you go and book something in where you can be more structured and more strategic. That would be more masculine, right? So you're strengthening, or you start, if you're left-handed and, or whatever handed, then start using the other hand.
Right.
Start playing with that.
Yeah, because you mentioned that the masculine and the feminine control different parts of the body. So you're saying like literally accessing the other side of the body, so you can start bringing out that energy within you. Is that
very simply? Yeah, this very simply, front back, side.
Okay.
Like we're magnets. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then here's the thing: for our emotions and that's why our emotions or what we're feeling then draws to us what we're putting out. Right?
Yeah. Excellent. Well, this has been fascinating, Zoe. Thank you so much for joining for this conversation. Is there anything that maybe we haven't talked about that you think's really, maybe I've not asked the right question? I don't know. Is there something else that, for those trying to better understand the balance of the masculine and the feminine within, is there maybe some resources that you can direct people to, or some books? Or
I would actually say come and learn some techniques, some breathing techniques, because then you're going to gain a deeper understanding into it, and then you can learn how to work with it. Otherwise, you're trying to understand it from standing outside a house and not really being able to understand the different pathways within the house.
Yeah. So really starting to feel it and experience it.
You're like standing outside, and you're like, okay, I can sort of see it, but I don't really understand. You actually need to experience it to feel it, and to really Otherwise, it's like people are trying to chase something, an idea of something, but they're not actually. So there is a point in time where you need to say to yourself, like with anything, you want to go and understand the electrics. You want to, will you go and work with the Sparky? You want to go and understand this, you go and work with that person. And I do feel in spirituality, in this whole realm, it has been dismissed. And people think, oh yeah, but it's just that I can just find out. No, 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 there is a method to the madness, and there is a process of actually being guided safely.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And is there, if people want to find out more about you and the work that you do, where can they find you online? Any links you'd like to share with us, or places you'd like to point people to?
Cool. So they can find me on LinkedIn. I'll be under Zoe Bell on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I'll be under Zoe-Anna Bell. I know it's a little bit confusing. My website is Zoe, so ZOE-Anna, ANNA.com. And just send me a link, just say hello, and yeah, happy to have a chat and connect.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to put all those links below, so if you're watching on YouTube or Odyssey or on wherever on my website.
I'm on YouTube. I don't really do that much on there. I need to get on there a bit more.
I'm trying to do more, but I'm also balancing out with other platforms.
It's hard, right? There's
I know.
like, really? That's it. You know, like you come back to you. Don't.
So, I'll share all that below if anybody wants to find out more about you and your work. Thank you so much again for joining me for this chat. It's been brilliant.
Oh, thank you, Alexia. It's been an absolute honor being here. Thanks, guys. Mwah.